The story begins with a child opening his eyes for the very first time, only to find himself trapped inside a dark, suffocating space. He has no idea where he is or how he got there. He responds coldly, saying its level is too low to provide that information. Now he understands the harsh reality. He's stuck in this world with no guidance, no knowledge of his powers, and no clear direction. He bombards the divine voice with questions, but it refuses to reveal anything useful. With no other choice, he jumps. That simple action unlocks a new skill: fall resistance. Rolling down terrain, he eventually reaches a riverbank. When he looks at his reflection, the truth becomes undeniable. He has been isekai'd into this world as a dragon egg. As the divine voice levels up slightly, it finally reveals more information. Dragon eggs are ranked F in this world. If his shell breaks too early, he dies instantly. Worse, dragon eggs are considered a delicacy among creatures. Almost everything in this world wants to eat him. Fear grips him, but then he reassures himself. Eventually, he will hatch. A new skill unlocks: rolling. He starts rolling around repeatedly, leveling it up from level 1 to level 2, but in the process, he accidentally tumbles down a massive mountain. When he stops, his HP is down to just 3 points. Panic sets in. He does not want to die this soon, so he decides to rest. During the night, his HP fully recovers. The next morning, determined and slightly optimistic, he decides to explore this world properly. He thinks to himself, I may be an egg now, but what if I hatch into an overpowered dragon? As he moves forward, he encounters a strange worm-like monster. He uses called an egg eater. Its favorite food is dragon eggs. Terror floods his tiny existence. He rolls away as fast as possible while the egg eater chases him relentlessly. Fighting is not an option. He has no real combat abilities yet. His rolling skill reaches level 5, but exhaustion begins to set in. They reach the top of a cliff. The egg eater leaps in for the kill. At the last second, the dragon egg dodges and slams into the monster's stomach, knocking it off the cliff. The creature falls to its death. The system announces that he has reached level 5. He can now evolve. 2 options appear before him: baby dragon or little dragon. He knows nothing about either. Thankfully, the divine voice explains. Little dragons are small and never grow larger, but they possess an incredibly powerful ability called fire breath. Baby dragons, on the other hand, have multiple species and forms and the potential to grow stronger. However, their meat is considered delicious, making them prime hunting targets. With a taunt, weak individuals choose little dragon, strong individuals choose baby dragon. That hits his pride. Without thinking further, he selects baby dragon. In an instant, the shell cracks open. The egg shatters completely. He hatches into a small yellow baby dragon. His stats increase dramatically, although his HP and mana remain limited. Seeing the corpse of the worm triggers his dragon instincts. Hunger takes over. In seconds, he devours the entire body and falls asleep. The next morning, he wakes up feeling refreshed and energized. When he looks at his reflection in the river, he realizes something else. He remembers nothing about his past life. Suddenly, rapidly, 2 new abilities unlock: Baby Breath and Dragon Punch. Hunger strikes again. He refuses to eat the disgusting worms. Then he notices mushrooms nearby and eats them instead. Big mistake. They are poisonous. His mouth burns in pain. Regretting his choice, he ventures deeper into the forest in search of proper food. That is when he encounters a gray wolf. Using appraisal, he realizes the wolf's stats are far superior to his. Even so, he attacks first. He unleashes Dragon Breath, then follows up with Dragon Punch, finally defeating the wolf. He grills the meat using his breath and takes a bite. It is delicious. Later that evening, he encounters another gray wolf. This time, he defeats it more easily. By the end of the fight, his level reaches 20. Once he reaches level 25, he will be able to evolve again. After finishing his meal, he suddenly feels something missing. As he chews on the meat, a thought crosses his mind. This world feels empty. Maybe he should make some friends here. While he is lost in that thought, he hears strange voices behind him. He cannot understand the language at all, but he immediately realizes one thing: those voices belong to humans. Excitement rushes through him. Looks like I just found some new friends. He quietly sneaks into the forest and hides behind a tree. Peeking out, he sees a group of adventurers walking out into the open. His heart fills with hope. At the very least, maybe they can keep me as a pet, he thinks. Trying his best to look adorable, he slowly approaches them. But the adventurers do not see a cute baby dragon. They see a monster. Without hesitation, one of them casts Slash Magic. The attack strikes him directly, leaving him badly wounded. Before he can even recover, another adventurer uses Number Magic, freezing his body in place. He cannot move at all. Is this really how it ends? I still had so much to do in this world. Tears begin forming in his eyes. Then suddenly a girl steps forward. Instead of attacking him, she uses healing magic. Warm energy flows through his body as his wounds begin to close. Surprised, he uses his own magic to analyze her. He learns that she is a healer named Maria. What shocks him even more is that she barely has any mana points left, yet she still chose to heal him. For the first time since coming to this world, he feels something genuine. Gratitude. But before the moment can settle, a horrifying scream echoes through the forest. Maria instantly recognizes it. It is the voice of her friends. She starts running toward the sound, but the baby dragon blocks her path. He senses something is wrong. The presence ahead is not normal. It feels dangerous, extremely dangerous. Maria does not hesitate. Without saying a word, she rushes forward to save her companions. The baby dragon clenches his tiny claws. If she is going, then he has to protect her. He dashes after her. When they finally arrive, the scene is devastating. A massive dragon stands before them. Not an ordinary dragon. A rock-type dragon. A C-rank monster. The creature has already severely injured Maria's companions, and when its eyes lock onto the baby dragon, pure fear takes over him. He jumps back instinctively to save himself, but the stone dragon swings again. The baby dragon barely manages to escape into the bushes. His heart pounds violently. What kind of nightmare did I walk into? The stone dragon is overwhelmingly powerful. From the bushes, he spots Maria lying on the ground. His eyes lock onto her HP bar. She is not dead yet, but she will be soon. The stone dragon begins moving toward her to finish the job. There is no time to think. The baby dragon steps out of hiding. The divine voice urgently warns him not to go. If he fights, he will die, but this time he ignores it. He charges forward without hesitation. Using his rolling ability, he repeatedly slams into the stone dragon's body, but the massive creature barely reacts. It is like throwing pebbles at a mountain. Around him, the battlefield grows silent. The other adventurers are already dead. The mage from the Adventurer Guild, a man named Granz, has fallen. Only Doss, the attacker who previously struck the baby dragon, is barely alive with 5 HP remaining. The stone dragon retaliates, striking the baby dragon again. With no other option, he keeps attacking over and over with his rolling ability. He refuses to stop. The stone dragon finally grows irritated. With a roar, it slams the ground. A massive area attack erupts outward. The impact sends shockwaves through the battlefield, and the baby dragon is thrown back violently, severely injured once again. He was completely exhausted. There was no strength left in him to save his own life. And certainly none to save Maria's. Just then, the stone dragon lunged forward and attacked again. But this time, something inside the baby dragon snapped. In his heart, he made a decision. No matter what it takes, I have to save her. He charged straight at the stone dragon and threw a powerful fire punch. The flames exploded on impact, but it did absolutely nothing. The stone dragon didn't even flinch. In fact, its entire HP bar instantly recovered. But the baby dragon never intended to win that fight. His only goal was to create an opening. He rushed to Maria, lifted her onto his shoulder, and prepared to escape. That's when he noticed the other adventurer lying nearby. Dead. There was nothing he could do for him. With Maria on his back, he fled the battlefield and finally reached a safe area. But he could sense it clearly. If she didn't receive healing magic soon, she wouldn't survive. He tried to cast healing magic himself, but he didn't possess that attribute. So instead, he activated his dragon sensibility, searching for any nearby humans who could help. After focusing for a while, he finally detected human presence. Without wasting another second, he started moving toward them. But they weren't alone. Several wolf monsters had begun chasing him. The baby dragon realized there was no running from this. He gently placed Maria beneath a tree and turned around, ready to fight. The gray wolf monsters attacked one after another, claws flashing in the dark. But now, the baby dragon was furious. He grabbed them mid-attack and tore through them one by one, eliminating every last wolf in the area. As the final wolf fell, Maria's eyes slowly opened. Her vision was blurry. The only thing she could faintly remember was a dragon fighting wolves in the darkness. That same dragon, injured and exhausted, finally reached the human village by nightfall. He shouted desperately toward the gates, "Please, save this girl." Villagers stepped outside, but the moment they saw a dragon, fear spread instantly. Then someone recognized the girl. It was Maria. They knew her. Without hesitation, one villager threw a spear at the dragon. "Soured?" The weapon struck him hard, leaving him badly wounded. He didn't understand. Why were the humans attacking him? He had no choice. He gently laid Maria down and fled. "No matter how hard I try, I can never live alongside humans." Sometime later, Maria finally regained full consciousness. When she opened her eyes, she saw her friend, an elf healer, sitting beside her. The elf explained that Maria had been unconscious for 2 full days. Maria couldn't remember anything clearly. She asked who had brought her back to the village. The villagers had only found her near the gate. No one knew how she got there. When the stone dragon attacked, Maria had been in terrible condition. She could barely move. There was no way she could have reached the village on her own. The elf then mentioned something else. "You shouldn't have gone with Daz. Daz was the adventurer who had first attacked the dragon. The villagers admired him, but before the mission he had argued with someone who told him he could never defeat the stone dragon. That insult enraged him." Maria hadn't even wanted to go, but Daz emotionally pressured her into joining the mission. The elf asked Maria what she remembered last. Nothing. That's when the elf realized. After the battle, Maria had lost her memory. Meanwhile, the baby dragon awakened somewhere deep in the forest. He had gained new titles: King of Invasion and Little Hero. His mana points and HP were fully restored. But he couldn't understand where all this power had come from. Maria's face still lingered in his thoughts. Soon hunger hit him. He returned to the forest and began hunting egg-eaters. But he didn't just hunt them randomly. He created a trap, an egg farm. He would hang one captured creature from a tree, forcing it to call its allies for help. As soon as they arrived, he slaughtered them one by one. For this ruthless strategy, he earned another title, Path of Evil. He didn't like that one. Over just a couple of days, he wiped out countless monsters. His stats skyrocketed. His HP increased, his abilities strengthened, even his fire breath leveled up. He was no longer an innocent hatchling. He was becoming a monster. After pushing himself further, he finally reached level 25. That meant only one thing: evolution. A divine voice echoed in his mind. "You are now ready to evolve." He walked to a riverbank and opened his status window. Then he selected the evolution box. 5 options appeared before him: Mini Dragon, Angel Dragon, Kid Dragon, Marble Dragon, Young Plague Dragon. The divine voice explained that each form had unique attributes and weaknesses. Mini Dragon was a literal standard dragon, strong in combat but average in everything else. Angel Dragon specialized in healing and white magic. Extremely powerful support abilities, but almost useless in direct combat. He immediately lost interest in that one. Kid Dragon was a more developed form of a leader-type dragon, balanced but not extraordinary. Marble Dragon possessed incredible magical abilities and even mutation potential. Impressive, but still not what he was looking for. Then came the final option, Young Plague Dragon. The divine voice described it as a terrifying and evil dragon, capable of burning everything to ashes and wielding dark magic. The baby dragon interrupted. "Stop, I don't want to hear this." But the voice continued. "Young plague dragons have superior combat experience. Their intelligence surpasses all other dragons. Because of that, they can even transform into humans." Human transformation. The moment he heard those words, his heart raced. If he could transform into a human, it could go anywhere. But the form was deeply evil. That thought frightened him. Maria's face flashed in his mind again. He was torn, confused. In the end, desire won. He spoke to the system. "I want to evolve into a plague dragon, no matter what." The divine voice accepted his decision. In an instant, his body began to change. His scales darkened into deep black. Massive fangs extended from his mouth. His presence became heavier, darker. He had become a young plague dragon. The first thing he did was walk to the river and look at his reflection. And when he saw what he had turned into, for the first time he felt fear of himself. The divine voice suddenly spoke to him, explaining that his stats had reached an incredibly high level. Not only that, but he had also unlocked several completely new powers. For example, his light bite had now evolved into venom fangs, and he had even gained the ability to fly. Curious, the little dragon immediately opened his status window. The divine voice began explaining all the new skills he had obtained. But no matter how carefully he looked, he could not find the one skill he wanted the most: human transformation. At that moment, he realized something terrible. The system had scammed him. Feeling completely betrayed, the dragon almost started crying. Where was the human transformation skill he had been waiting for? Ignoring his disappointment, the divine voice continued explaining his new abilities. It told him that if he spread his wings and shook them, poisonous wing blades would scatter from them. Those blades carried deadly venom that could easily kill almost anything. When the dragon heard that, he was genuinely shocked. He had basically turned into a walking biological weapon. To test it out, he spread his wings near a flower. Within just 2 seconds, the flower completely withered and died. The divine voice then explained another ability called Sticky Breath. With this skill, he could release a massive poisonous miasma from his mouth. That toxic cloud was powerful enough to wipe out an entire civilization of humans or monsters. Even the dragon himself thought that ability sounded terrifying. Confused and suspicious, he finally asked the divine voice a question. "Who exactly are you?" But the mysterious voice refused to answer. Instead, it continued listing the new titles he had gained after evolving. Titles like Atypical Hero, Calamity Title, and several others had been added to his profile. Because of those titles, his combat strength, defensive power, and many other attributes had increased significantly. The Calamity type title in particular greatly boosted his dark mana along with several other attributes. In fact, he had now begun evolving into something far more dangerous. An evil plague dragon. The divine voice kept explaining all the things he could now do, and all the abilities that had been unlocked. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to the village. Maria and the elf were cleaning several protection stones placed around the village. These stones created a magical barrier that prevented monsters or hostile creatures from entering. Whenever a monster approached, the stones would automatically cast charm magic on them, weakening their attributes and dulling their abilities. As they worked, Maria curiously asked the elf about monsters. Ever since that mysterious creature had saved her life, she had become strangely interested in them. The elf smirked slightly and said, "Ever since that creature saved you, it seems like you've started liking monsters a little too much." Maria blushed awkwardly, but the elf continued explaining. She said that every monster possessed unique types of magic. Some of them had extremely dangerous abilities capable of killing people easily. Most monsters were cruel and evil by nature. Hearing that made Maria a little nervous. The elf also explained that monsters could evolve just like living creatures, but evolution usually required them to kill other monsters, and sometimes even innocent beings. That information made Maria feel even more uneasy. But at the same time, she suddenly remembered the baby dragon she had encountered earlier. A thought crossed her mind. Maybe that baby dragon had actually saved her life. She quietly shared her suspicion with the elf, but the elf immediately rejected the idea. "That's impossible," she said firmly. "Monsters are evil creatures." However, the elf also mentioned something interesting. Some rare monsters could hear the divine voice as well. Creatures like that were sometimes called heroes or saints within the world. Back in the forest, the dragon was still roaming around. He clenched his determination. No matter what it took, he would keep evolving until he unlocked the human transformation skill. And once he had that ability, he would finally be able to meet Maria again. With that goal in mind, he became completely motivated. He began running around the forest, searching for monsters to defeat so he could collect experience points and level up. Suddenly, while rushing forward, he accidentally ran straight into a giant spider web. No matter how hard he struggled, he could not break free. Then he slowly turned his head and looked behind him, and what he saw made his heart drop. A giant red spider had just arrived. He quickly checked the creature's stats and realized something horrifying. The spider was far stronger than him. There was no way he could defeat it in a direct fight. With no other choice, he launched his dragon flame attack at the spider. But something unexpected happened. Instead of harming the spider, the flames began affecting his own body. His scales started burning from the backlash. Panicking, the dragon tried attacking again using his venom fangs. But the spider barely reacted. It was completely unharmed. Seeing how powerful the spider was, the dragon felt pure terror. With no other option left, he activated his roll ability and began escaping as fast as possible. But when he glanced back, the spider was still chasing him. It clearly wanted to eat him. Then suddenly he remembered something important. He had gained the ability to fly. Quickly spreading his wing, he tried lifting himself into the air. But he soon realized the harsh truth. His level was still too low to properly use that ability. He couldn't fly yet. So he immediately went back to rolling across the ground at full speed. At that moment, the system suddenly rewarded him with a brand new title, Chicken Runner. As he kept escaping, he eventually reached the edge of a massive cliff. If he fell down there, he would definitely die. Realizing that, he quickly deactivated his roll ability and forced himself to fly across the gap. This time, he barely managed to glide over the cliff. For a moment, he felt relieved. He thought the spider had finally stopped chasing him. But when he looked down, the spider had already created a web bridge across the cliff, and it was still chasing him. Left with no choice, the dragon once again activated his roll ability and rushed forward. He ran for a long time without stopping. The spider continued chasing him relentlessly. During that chase, his roll ability even leveled up from level 3 to level 4. Along the way, he encountered several monsters. Gray wolves, butterflies, and even monkeys. While rolling at high speed, he ended up smashing into them and killing them one after another. Before he even realized it, his level had increased from level 1 all the way to level 8. However, if he wanted to evolve again, he needed to reach level 40. Still, gaining levels this quickly gave him hope. He then used his appraisal ability on the spider chasing him. That was when he discovered something shocking. The spider possessed multiple dangerous abilities, and suddenly it used a double poison magic attack on him. The dragon quickly jumped onto a tree branch to avoid the attack. Luckily for him, he had poison resistance. The poison had almost no effect on him. Smirking slightly, he thought to himself, "Looks like this spider doesn't know I'm immune to poison." Then he came up with a clever plan. He jumped down and pretended to be dead. Seeing its prey lying motionless, the spider slowly approached him to finish him off. But the moment it got close, the dragon suddenly jumped back up. He unleashed his flaming ability at full power, and this time, the attack worked perfectly. The giant spider was finally defeated. After killing it, the dragon's level jumped from level 8 all the way to level 14. Several new skills were also unlocked. Now he understood something important. The stronger the monster he defeated, the faster his level and rank would increase. Later that evening, he collected some meat and went inside a cave to rest. He began eating peacefully. But then he suddenly remembered something. Earlier, he had collected some fruits in the forest. He grabbed them and used them like seasoning on the meat. Surprisingly, the flavor turned out amazing. The food tasted incredibly delicious. And because of that, the system gave him yet another unexpected title, Master Chef. The dragon proudly thought to himself, "If humans ever taste food cooked by me, they're definitely going to love it." Only 2 seconds later, however, his excitement completely disappeared. He suddenly remembered the harsh reality. No matter how many powers he gained, he was still just a dragon, and no human would ever allow a dragon to enter their village. The thought made him sigh in frustration. "Man, I've become way too terrifying now. Even my claws look deadly." He looked at himself and complained helplessly. "Please, just turn me back into that small, yellow, cute dragon again. At this rate, I've practically become evil, and Maria probably wouldn't even recognize me anymore." More than anything, he desperately wanted one thing. He needed the human transformation skill. The scene then shifted back to the village, where Maria was talking with the village chief. The chief suddenly told her something shocking. "I saw dolls in the forest." The moment Maria heard those words, she froze in surprise. The chief continued explaining what he had seen. He said that he had spotted dolls walking through the forest. The strange part was that dolls had not said a single word. He simply kept moving forward silently. Hearing that made Maria extremely worried. "If that's true, then we need to go back to the forest as soon as possible," she said urgently. Maria quickly ran back to the elf and begged her, "Please, can we go back to the forest? We have to find Mr. Dolls." But the elf immediately became angry. "Maria, what are you even saying? Are you out of your mind? Meanwhile, it was a slime. Curious, he immediately used his appraisal ability on the creature to check its stats. He tried focusing on it, attempting to read its information. But strangely, nothing appeared. He could not see its stats at all. The more he forced himself to concentrate, the more intense the pain inside his head became. Still, he kept trying. Finally, he realized something terrifying. This slime's level and abilities were far beyond anything he had faced before. "What the heck is this thing?" he muttered in shock. Then a ridiculous thought suddenly crossed his mind. Wait, this thing isn't Ramuto, right? Back in the village, the elf was still furious with Maria. But Maria refused to give up. "What if Mr. Dolls is still alive somewhere?" she insisted. Hearing that only made the elf even more irritated, and she snapped at Maria in anger. Maria's hope still had not faded. She quietly said that maybe Mr. Dawes was still alive somewhere, but the elf standing there had already lost her patience. She snapped back at Maria and told her that if Dawes were truly alive, he would have already returned to the village by now. Maria could not hold back her emotions anymore. Tears filled her eyes, and seeing her like that, even the elf started to feel a little sympathy. She walked closer and tried to calm her down. She assured Maria that she would send an adventure party into the forest to search for Dawes. Meanwhile, somewhere deep in the forest, the baby dragon once again noticed the strange slime creature. The moment he checked its stats, he froze in shock. He could not understand what kind of monster it actually was. Even worse, the slime completely ignored him and suddenly launched an attack. The dragon panicked. Fear rushed through his body, and without wasting a second, he ran straight into the forest to save his life. After running for quite a while, he finally stopped beneath a large tree, still trying to catch his breath. He muttered to himself, wondering what kind of creature that slime really was. It was clearly far stronger than he expected. But instead of dwelling on the past, he decided to focus on his journey again. His goal was clear. He needed to increase his HP and raise his level no matter what, because only then could he reach evolution and finally achieve human transformation. As he continued walking deeper into the forest, something unusual caught his eye. Behind a tree, he noticed a strange-looking pot sitting on the ground. The dragon's eyes sparkled with excitement. He thought it would be perfect for storing vegetables and other supplies. However, the moment he tried to pick it up, the pot suddenly attacked him. It was not an ordinary pot at all. It was actually a tortoise-type monster disguised as one. Immediately, his Pokédex-like system began explaining the creature. It revealed that the monster was a tortoise type with a D- rank. The dragon felt confident he could defeat it. Without hesitation, he launched a powerful dragon punch. But nothing happened. The tortoise's shell was unbelievably strong, easily absorbing the attack. The monster then started using its rolling ability, smashing into the dragon from different directions. Despite the dragon's attempts to fight back, the creature did not take any real damage. To make things worse, the tortoise even started regenerating repeatedly. The dragon finally got fed up. Grabbing the creature with all his strength, he carried it toward a nearby cliff overlooking a river. Smirking slightly, he told the tortoise that creatures like it hated water. Then he threw it straight into the river. The plan worked perfectly. The monster was defeated instantly, granting him 36 experience points. His level jumped from 14 to 15. Feeling satisfied, the dragon headed back into the forest. Some of his evil skills had even improved slightly, but just as he turned around to leave, he noticed something terrifying behind him. Dozens of tortoise monsters had appeared. Of course, the attack wiped out the entire group. Moments later, the system announced that he had gained 594 experience points. His level skyrocketed from 15 all the way to 30. The dragon could barely contain his excitement. Afterward, he collected the pot shells and meat from the defeated tortoise monsters before heading back toward his cave and spotted a bizarre creature in the distance. It looked almost like a strange Pokemon. He used his appraisal skill to check it, but the monster was too far away. Even the divine voice could not properly read its stats. So he slowly approached. Eventually, the system revealed the creature's name. It was called Sclavier, a D+ ranked monster with extremely powerful abilities. The dragon realized something interesting. Their ranks were almost the same. That meant he might actually have a chance to defeat it. Since he desperately needed human transformation, he decided to fight. Climbing up a tree, he prepared an ambush and tried to land a fire punch from behind. The dragon panicked. That move looked completely unfair. Still, he tried using his rolling ability to damage the monster, but the attack barely worked. His HP quickly dropped to only 25 points. Luckily, he activated his regeneration ability and recovered. He attacked again with rolling, but Sclavier remained unfazed. Now the monster became furious. It summoned a powerful sandstorm, turning the battlefield into chaos. And right in the middle of the fight, Sclavier evolved. Its new form was terrifying. Sharp thorns covered its entire body, making the dragon's rolling ability almost useless. However, the dragon noticed something important. Sclavier's HP was already very low. This was his chance. The evolved monster began launching sharp thorns toward him, forcing the dragon to dodge rapidly. With no other option left, he charged forward, tore off one of its limbs, and then created a massive clay ball. Using his mute ability, he hurled the clay attack straight at the monster. The impact was devastating. Sclavier was finally defeated. Moments later, the divine voice announced that his experience had reached 300, pushing his level from 30 to 33. He also unlocked a brand new skill called Netcracker. The dragon could hardly believe it. After such a brutal fight, he had finally won. Returning to his cave, he noticed that defeating Sclavier had given him a large amount of clay. Inspired, he decided to craft some useful items from it. Later, he went back into the forest to gather mushrooms. The first one he found was a lightning mushroom, an E-rank ingredient. According to the divine voice, it was extremely tasty, but eating it could also cause a paralyzing poison effect. The dragon immediately decided not to risk it, since he had no resistance to that poison. A large amount of salt in their roots. Since the dragon needed salt for cooking, he quickly dug around the roots and collected as much as possible. Meanwhile, on the other side of the forest, Maria had secretly begun her own journey. Without telling Meryl, she stepped into the deep forest to search for Dawes herself. Memories of the elf and the village chief echoed in her mind as she walked deeper and deeper. Then suddenly, a flashback appeared in her mind, moments she had shared with Dawes and Granz. The memories made her even more emotional. But she did not stop. Determined to find Dawes, Maria continued walking into the darkest parts of the forest. And just when she least expected it, a terrifying monster suddenly attacked her. Maria reacted quickly. Without wasting a second, she cast a fireball and launched it straight at the attacking monster. The blazing spell struck perfectly, and within moments, the creature was finally defeated. Meanwhile, back in the forest, the dragon continued exploring. As he moved deeper into the woods, he started noticing many different types of mushrooms scattered around. Eventually, he arrived near a giant mushroom known as the monster mushroom, which had a D-rank value. Seeing it as a good food ingredient, he quickly collected it for later. But soon his attention was drawn to a very strange mushroom nearby. When the stats window appeared, it revealed the name of the mushroom. Monotrogia, an extremely rare ingredient with an A-rank value. Hearing that immediately filled the dragon with excitement. However, the moment he approached it, the mushroom suddenly began releasing a cloud of sand-like spores that could hypnotize anyone who inhaled them. Fortunately, the dragon already knew about this dangerous ability. Without hesitation, he fired a powerful fireball jutsu and completely destroyed the mushroom before it could affect him. At the same time, Maria continued walking deeper into the forest, searching for Dawes. Back with the dragon, he kept moving forward until he discovered a strange fruit called Pibarus, which had a B+ rank value. The divine voice explained that the fruit was extremely spicy and commonly used by people as a food ingredient. Maria had already entered the forest, but the deeper she went, the more frightened she became. She whispered to herself that she would only explore a little further and then return to their village. Meanwhile, he took his very first bite and his eyes widened with joy. The food was unbelievably delicious. He happily said that it was a good thing he had found salt earlier because it made the dish perfect, till everything was gone. Right after finishing the meal, the divine voice made an announcement. The dragon had unlocked a new ability and received a brand new title, Mr. Cook. On top of that, his chef title had been upgraded from level 1 to level 2. Elsewhere in the forest, 2 new adventurers had just arrived. One of them was named Meltia, and the other was called No. Despite eating so much, the dragon still did not feel completely full, so he collected the bodies of a few wolf monsters and headed back into the forest again to search for more ingredients. But when he arrived at one of his traps, he saw something unexpected. Several monkey monsters were busy eating the bait he had placed there. The dragon quickly approached them, and the monkeys immediately panicked and ran away. Watching them disappear into the trees, the dragon muttered to himself that those monkeys were completely crazy. If they kept stealing his traps like this,